Hey everyone, so recently I released a video talking about how the entire story of One Piece is likely going to end. And to follow up on that, I want to talk about how I believe the storylines for each individual Straw Hat will end. And I'm going to be doing this in parts, so first we're going to be talking about the original trio. Luffy, Zoro, Nami. In the next video we'll be covering the next Straw Hats and so on. Because I believe that from the start, with each Straw Hat, Oda planned a concluding storyline or moment in the endgame of the story that would essentially be the resolution to their character arc. I think generally the way Oda wrote each Straw Hat was to give them a strong developmental starting character arc, so Syrup Village for Usopp, Baratie for Sanji, Arlong Park for Robin, Drum Kingdom for Chopper, Enies Lobby for Robin and Frankie, so on and so forth. And then Oda also planned a longer character need or conflict or arc that would be resolved at the end of the story. And to be clear, this isn't as simple as saying that each Straw Hat is going to fulfill their dream. For example, Frankie's dream is for the Thousand Sunny to make it all the way to the end of the Grand Line, but I don't think that is the closing point for his character. I don't think that is going to be the big character moment that will bring his storyline, the story of Frankie, to a close. So before we get into it, make sure to subscribe for more One Piece content every week. Now, I also strongly recommend checking out the full theory on the end of One Piece, as it provides context on a lot that needs to happen for each of the individual Straw Hats, but I will give a quick summary right here if you are lazy. The theory is that the One Piece is actually the creation of a new sea, a sea that is formed when the Red Line is destroyed at 2 points, at Reverse Mountain and Marijua. The quick reasons for this: first, this fits Madame Charlie's prediction that Luffy would destroy Fishman Island, as Fishman Island is directly under Marijoa, where the Red Line would be destroyed. Second, this would create the All Blue, as right now, there isn't actually any point in the world where it makes sense for all 4 blues to connect. But it would make sense if the All Blue is an ocean that actually needs to be created, a legend that maybe came out of the Void Century and was always connected to the Will of D. On top of this, it fits the idea of how pirates' treasures are classically marked by a giant red X on the map. Since the One Piece is the largest, grandest treasure ever, the secret to the treasure was actually marked all along at the center of a giant X that goes across the entire globe. The ancient weapons that we know of fit this idea as well, as Pluton is a warship that can destroy islands, so is likely the key to being able to destroy sections of the Red Line, and Poseidon can control the Sea Kings, meaning that the Calm Belt would be turned into a peaceful place. As such, with the Red Line open up, the Calm Belt neutralized, and the Celestial Dragons defeated, the ocean would finally become one giant, interconnected world with no bounds, a world of freedom where everyone can sail wherever they like. There are a lot of other reasons that this theory makes sense, and I strongly encourage you to go watch that video before this one, but those are the bare bones of it, and you'll be able to understand everything in this video from here on, keeping that summary in mind, basically keeping in mind that this is what I believe One Piece is. So, looking at the Straw Hats, I think the climax to Luffy's story to start with is pretty self-explanatory and straightforward. I always felt it was weird to think that Luffy would technically become the Pirate King at Raftel and realize his dream and sort of close his character out, and that only then after that would he go to Marijua to win the final battle. The far more elegant solution is simply that it's all tied together, that Raftel is only where you learn the secrets of the world and how to attain One Piece, as it is said by Odin that Raftel is where they discovered the secrets of the world. And then after learning this, it would naturally lead to a final battle at the center of the world, where the central conflict of the story can finally be resolved, with Luffy defeating the final villain and concluding the story, bringing an end to 800 years of darkness, while simultaneously achieving his dream of finding the One Piece by literally creating it with his own hands, essentially physically unearthing the world's greatest treasure as he punches the final villain down through the Red Line and frees the world. It's everything all in one. It's the fulfillment of Whitebeard's prophecy that a man will come who will challenge the world to a fight, who will take on the world government, carrying centuries of history on his back. It's the creation of One Piece and the crowning of Luffy as Pirate King, and it's the creation of a free open world for everyone in the process, which fits with Luffy's natural ideology, and may even be tied into the potential hidden secondary dream that Oda may be hiding from us, though that is of course speculative. I think beating the final villain by punching them down through the Red Line is not only exactly what we would expect of Luffy and exactly how he has concluded arcs in the past, but basically the most perfectly fitting close to his story as a whole, fulfilling his dream, etc. Beyond that, we have Zoro. Yes, the obvious close to Zoro's character is probably going to be the fated duel with Mihawk and the resolution of his dream. However, I think this is very possibly going to be a secondary moment to something arguably bigger for him that could come sooner. I have talked before about how the East Blue Straw Hats have clearly held priority for Oda as main characters throughout the story, even on a pedestal slightly above the rest of the Straw Hats, and how I believe that Oda planned an endgame arc for them that would highlight each of them individually from the start. So Whole Cake Island for Sanji, Wano for Zoro, Elbaf for Usopp, and Raftel for Nami. As such, I do believe the Wano arc we are currently in is set up for an extremely important character growth for Zoro, some aspects that have already been set up, with all the talk of leadership and conquerors, and how Zoro is just now realizing that he is a conqueror's haki user. Based on the parallels with Odin, and Zoro's own latent leadership potential that he has sometimes shied away from, I do think the Wano arc is set up to be just as important a close for Zoro's character as the duel with Mihawk, because while that duel with Mihawk will be the conclusion to Zoro's individual dream and ambition, I believe the Wano arc is going to be the culmination of Zoro's growth as a member of the Straw Hat crew, as the first mate and ultimate pillar of support to Luffy, simply because of the potential for Zoro as a leader to bloom here. Finally, we have Nami. Nami is another character who I feel will get sort of two major endgame moments. First is not necessarily related to her dream, but rather related to her loyalty and value to Luffy, and that is being the first person in 20 years to navigate to Rafto. I've talked about this before as well, but the last time that there was a major Nami-centric arc was Skypiea, which seems like strong foreshadowing for the idea that Rafto, or at least the navigation to Rafto, will be a strongly Nami-centric arc. After all, Skypiea was the one and only major treasure hunting arc in One Piece, an arc about trying to find a treasure that had been lost for years, that many didn't believe existed, and required navigating to an island that seemed impossible to find. Skypiea in many ways can be viewed as foreshadowing for the eventual Rafto arc, and this dynamic of Nami inherently being tied to the concept of treasure finding, the value of treasure, etc. was explored heavily throughout East Blue. Even the one other mini-arc of treasure finding in the story was the Island of Rare Animals, where once again, it was a Luffy and Nami storyline. Most importantly, even if you just look at the character conflict that Oda set up for Nami at the end of the time skip, Nami's goal was to become a navigator who could get Luffy wherever he needed to go. That is what she feels is her responsibility to Luffy that she needs to live up to. And the ultimate test of that will of course be getting Luffy to his final destination, getting him to the island of his dreams, the island no one else has been able to get to, Rafto. As such, I think her major concluding character storyline will be getting Luffy to Rafto, essentially completing her responsibility as the navigator of the Straw Hat crew and the navigator of the Pirate King. However, I also think that after that we will get to see one more major character moment, which would be the resolution, in a way, of her own dream. A lot of people have said that Nami can't resolve her dream till the end of the story, since her dream is to complete a map of the whole world, and the Straw Hats have only been on the Grand Line. And I think that is kind of true, but at the same time, I think that whatever map she has been working on so far will come into use in a big way. So, as a reminder, the theory of the end of One Piece is that the Red Line will be destroyed at 2 points, Reverse Mountain and Marijua. It is extremely likely Reverse Mountain will be first to be destroyed because based on the Straw Hats' current journey, they should be in close proximity to it by the end of their time in the New World, and just in terms of storytelling, it just makes sense that Marijua is the big climax. On top of that, we can assume that the Straw Hats would be getting back their allies from the first half of the Grand Line for the final battle, meaning Alabasta, Amazon Lily, and so on, which suggests to me that a trip back through Paradise is likely after they destroy Reverse Mountain and head towards Marijua. However, that's not so easy. Why? Because you can only travel from island to island in the Grand Line with the log post, and the log post has to take some time to adjust to the next island's magnetic field before you can go on. So you can't really fast travel through the Grand Line. But you can if you've made a perfect map of that sea. If you have a map and an excellent sense of navigation, then Nami could probably just sail them through the Grand Line in a speedrun mode without having to wait for the log post to readjust, because she's already charted out the distances and respective orientation of each island they visited in theory. So she wouldn't have made a full map of the entire world necessarily, but she's likely made a very complete map of the Grand Line so far that would make sailing back through extremely efficient. Even if they don't go back through Paradise and instead go back through the New World, the same thing applies. Having a map makes it a really fast trip. So I think Nami's character also has two major points coming. The trip to Rafto, which will likely be a more drawn out, in-depth story arc for her, similar to Skypiea, and be the resolution of her responsibility to Luffy, and then the trip back through the Grand Line, where the importance of her own dream will become relevant to the story again. So that's all for this video. Sanji, Usopp, and Chopper coming next week, and if you enjoyed, then definitely like, comment, and subscribe, and you can support me on Patreon for my extended thoughts on this and all future topics. Talk to you all later.